Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Cero. This video is for those of you that need a refresher of the Withering Wave story, or for those that skip the story and want to know what they missed, or those of you that want to get into WuWa and want to know what it's all about. So I'm just going to jump straight into it. After you've chosen your male or female character for the game, you're launched into the first of many cinematic cutscenes of the game, where the best way I can describe what I saw was you're in outer space with like one of the coolest designs for what I think is supposed to be a supernova. I could be completely wrong, but that's not surprising for me. Where then your character, who is in like a coma-ish state, is faced with an ethereal being, one who gives us our powers to use throughout the game. However, there are small details in the character design that hints at a deeper connection between this being and the MC, that being the look in her eyes, the way she holds their hand and smiles, even how her expression changes when she sends us off before finally setting onto a smile. Once the character is finally in the world that you spend most of your time in, you're met with the first character, Yang Yang, who is checking in on your vital signs. Then you have Chisha, who I swear in the English voice actress sounds exactly like Marusho from Bakugan Battle Brawlers. I swear. And I feel like I'm the only one that makes that similarity and connection. I checked. They're different voice actresses, but they sound identical. Like, I can't get it out of my head. Pisses me off that no one else hears it but me. Anyway, I'm going off script way too much already. Which... Though once the initial introduction of the characters are shown, and is it really necessary for me to be this in-depth? Like, at this point, you should have just paid attention to the story. Just kidding. I actually really like doing all of this, so make sure you like and subscribe for more. The moment that the MC stands up, he puts his hand to his head as if he got hit with a nasty headache, which easily could be caused of him getting used to his new powers, being sent to this world, or a combination of both. We don't know, because there's no explanation other than just, body language. That's the word I'm looking for, because it's not on the script. Improv, let's go. Further into the initial dialogue, you get 3 name drops: the Gorges of Spirits, Jinzhou, and Huanglong. The Gorges of Spirits is the valley, or, well, gorge that you're spawned in. Jinzhou and Huanglong you will get more information on further you get into the story. Following those name drops, Yang Yang makes an astute observation, practically saying that you look really weird, which isn't entirely true because Yang Yang starts off with a cute crush on you because the MC in both genders are gorgeous. Can't tell me I'm wrong. But because of your clothes, Yang Yang asks if you're a roving traveler from afar or coming home. And funnily enough, she uses the term roving traveler because the character's name becomes Rover. Is a little nickname that they use and it sticks throughout the story. However, Rover has no memories of this whatsoever. So Chisha name drops Baija, who told them that you shouldn't have side effects such as memory loss. And let me just say that this continues to happen all throughout the dialogue in this starting part of the story, with Yang Yang looking up the sky and sticking her hand out to feel the wind, claiming that the etheric sea is converging and that a new tacit field is forming. Which from this point in the playing will make absolutely zero sense to you, and that's fine, because Chisha doesn't explain anything to you whatsoever. It simply tells you that things are going to get dangerous here. But let me be the one to explain things to you. The tacit field is a space in the world that becomes a spawning ground for a strong tacit discord. And there's another term, tacit discord, which is just a name for the monsters that you may encounter and need to take out. Back to the long starting dialogue, you hear that the etheric sea is creating such an issue that it is interrupting your terminal, aka Gord. Which, now that I'm reading through the script, I have not explained what the etheric sea is, and you don't get an explanation of what it is other than weird stuff in the sky, and wind gives Yang Yang feelings of danger. I've got nothing off of the starting spot, if I'm being completely honest. So I messed up on that. I should have done research for you. I'm sorry. Going back to the gourds, the gourd is the machine in which the characters use to call, send messages, and capture tacit discords to be used in battle, kind of like a multi-tool phone combo Pokeball thing. And Yang Yang, bless her soul, is so polite that she still asks that if you don't have any plans, that it would probably best to leave the gorge with them. In which you accept you've finally unlocked Chapter 1, Act 1 of the story, Utterance of Marvels, meaning you finally dipped your toes into the beginning of WuWa's story. So while we move and the characters talk to us, Chisha makes a random guess which I will tell you right now is accurate. She makes a claim that Rover is a resonator, which, to make that simple, is just an individual that is capable of using the powers that we will see used in the game. Yang Yang points out markers that back up the claim that Rover is a resonator, one being the gourd, but the second being the tacit mark on the back of our hand. Tacit marks being those little waveform marks on the character's body, which you will see almost constantly on resonators bodies in various locations, because there's oh so much that they introduced to you at the start that I feel like I might need to explain for the new folks that don't play this game. But finally, we have reached the gameplay elements, fighting the Tacit Discords. Once a tutorial of your first fight with a Tacit Discord is over, Chishia starts talking again, which I do my favorite thing and ignore Chishia when she talks about us remembering how to fight and almost calling herself Ma Xiaofa. I butchered that pronunciation most likely. Heads up, I ignore Chishia quite a bit because I find her annoying, especially when all I can hear is Marucho from Bakugan when I'm using the English voiceovers for streams and stuff. I probably switched back to Japanese voice actresses already, but I'm now rambling and going off script. Where did I leave off? Anyway, Rover begins to approach this big and super cool statue of a dragon, which, if we're being technical, is actually a drake, not a dragon, because it has 4 legs and no wings. But that's besides the point. The point is that Rover receives a vision where he sees the actual drake, which gets up real close and personal with Rover, might I add. Like, you get no 6 feet, no personal bubble. Gotta talk about personal space here. Anyway, Yang Yang then steps forward and explains to you what the statue is. The statue of Zhu, or Yu, I don't know the pronunciations, I don't remember how it's pronounced. The Sentinel of Jinzhou. She even says that it's in the shape of a dragon, but it's okay for Yang Yang to be wrong sometimes. Though she goes on to say that there are 6 cities and 1 capital in Huanglong, each city having their own sentinel that all look like dragons, but have their own differences. Here you can ask for more information about the sentinels, but I'll leave that for your playthrough because this beginning is info dumpy as is. However, you do share your vision with Yang Yang, which she lets you know that you're a special little boy or girl because it's incredibly rare for someone to be able to see their sentinel. Not only see, but even rarer for the sentinel to be that close to someone besides their Madam Magistrate, which is the title for their highest appointed official. Kind of like a mayor if you're in the States, or like a king or queen. That's the kind of role that the Madam Magistrate is. Then you're back to actually playing the game when Chishia interrupts your conversation, which is great and all because most people want to actually play the game. But that's not why you're here. We're here for the story. So jumping past the fighting and the little exploration you can do around the area, for little loot crates and collectibles for crafting, Chishia just starts yapping away about how I had a massive typo in the script. I'm so sorry. let me rewind it a bit. Chishia just starts yapping away about how you fought so well and is on the verge of calling Yang Yang your trusty protector for helping you out. You get introduced to the resonance beacon system, which is your typical mini waypoints that you can teleport to on the map. Once you reach the entrance to the Gorges of Spirits, you are hit with a cutscene where you get this beautiful view of Jinzhou off in the distance. Chishia will then go off on how safe Jinzhou is, where she name drops the Resonance Nexus, which are the huge towers on the map that you can interact with to unlock those sections in your mini-map. Kind of like in Legends of Zelda on the Switch, where you get those massive towers that you got to climb up to the top to unlock that section of your map where you can actually see where stuff are. Same concept, practically the exact same. You get a very similar cutscene when you interact with it. So there's a little similarity, so you know what I'm talking about here. Chishia will then realize that there's something missing. Baija, who earlier had agreed to meet them at the entrance that you now stand at. However, more funky stuff goes on. A Tacit field suddenly shows up below the 3 of you, with Baija standing front and center of it. Chishia rambling on about how the etheric sea is following them and can see them because of how randomly it showed up. Just ignore Chishia, please. Save yourself the trouble. Yang Yang fills you in a bit more on how the Tacit field works, and this is one I can speak, and how this one is safe for the time being. It appears like magic. The monsters has a super long, holy hell, I can't type. This script is horrendous. Taking it back, Yang Yang fills you in a bit more on how the Tacit field works and how this one is safer for the time being, because if it appears like magic, the monster has a long Costco line level queue to wait through before popping out. But if the field appears slowly, takes its time to form its little mark on the ground, then it comes out at a drive-through level speed. The longer that buffer is before the Tacit Discord pops out, the more fully developed and dangerous it is. Fun little details. Details aside, you get told in a very convoluted way that your glider won't work and that because of Baija being down there, you have no other option but to head down too. Kind of like in a horror movie when the characters decide to hide in the worst possible spot for no reason other than plot. Funnily enough, you get taught how to use the glider immediately because it works, just doesn't take you past the Tacit field. which I feel like the explanation of that could have been worded better in that dialogue. But c'est la vie. I can't. I'm nitpicking now. Anyway, once you reach where Baija is located, the MC starts freaking out. Some weird static sounds can be heard only by you, because you're special. While Yang Yang and Chish are too excited to see Baija to even notice anything happening, even though it's most likely not possible. And Baija and I have this beautiful thing in common. We ignore the annoying Chisha and move on with our lives. Baija's just walking straight past her towards us with intent. So with a flick of her wrist and a glance from the white toothless from the third How to Train Your Dragon movie, she has run a diagnostic on us, deciding that we are perfectly fine, which should have been obvious since they had us fighting TDs, or tacit discords, for them. Faced with either asking what was going on or if this was a mind reading competition, Yang Yang explains Baija's displeasure in hearing that you've been moving around so much. An understandable Dr. Mood right there. You can either tell them that you're fine and move on, or pretend that you're still hurting, in which Baija immediately calls you out on faking, while Yang Yang has a cute little pout on her face if you go that route, because she genuinely worries about you. She's adorable. I love Yang Yang. However, the moment Baija mentions that the tacit field, the place we learned was dangerous, is indeed no safe place for a conversation. The tacit field begins to activate around all four of you at that exact moment. Once it is activated, a very loud and sharp frequency can be heard, where it hurts everyone's ears and heads but yours. We got them AirPods in and be chillin'. God, that was so bad. Moving on from my terrible humor, you get to see the coolest introduction ever. Bam. Crownless shows up, which, if I am right in saying, is the name of this TD. The big bad that you have to fight right off this moment. Like, this fight is by far the best part of the prologue, easily. Even though it's technically not the prologue anymore. It's chapter 1, act 1. But there's so much info dumpy dialogue and tutorial that it might as well be still prologue tutorial. Once the fight is over, the TD hits a little JoJo pose where, while Chisha runs over to ask if you and Yang Yang are okay, since her and Baija were locked out of the fight by the barrier that the Crownless put up, in which Yang Yang immediately begins to boost your ego, the little flirt. And this is where you can be modest and say it was a hard-won battle, or that they worked together, or you could boast and call it easy. Choice is yours. Chisha will then bring you over to the JoJo posing TD, where Rover will be confused by what they're looking at. Reasonable response. This is where you'll be introduced to the monster catching aspect of this game. Turn your cat backwards and focus on catching them all, Ash Ketchum style, because this is a pretty important part of the game in making your character stronger. Any TD that happens to hit a golden JoJo pose like this has left behind an echo. That echo is something that your fancy little gourd can consume to hold that TD like a Pokeball. Yang Yang asks if you ever heard of echoes or reverberations, to which the answer would obviously be no, because you just spawned from your little ethereal birth mother thing. I'm rambling. I'm going to focus on the script. Oh, I love how chaotic this is. But further into the dialogue, Yang Yang gives some cool little detail about her gourd, how it had given her a warning when the Crownless had appeared, which is what allowed them to know that the Tacit Discord was at least an Overlord class, aka Strong Big Bad. After a failed point and click adventure, you realize that your gourd can't absorb that TD, which Baija doesn't miss a beat in suggesting that all of you should probably move on from this location, with some boring paperwork talk. Only for your mark, the thing on your arm that we've kind of glossed over, wakes up with the munchies, telling you it's starving, dragging your hand like it has a mind of its own towards the echo, just a nom nom nom, and poof, it's gone. You've eaten the Crownless. Now, Chisha is going to say some things to you that I genuinely don't care about. The important parts are the two flashbacks that you see. And since I'm personally not that far into the story myself, I'm walking through the journey with all of you. However, my best guess is that this has to do with the origins of the Crownless that you fought. Because using context clues, that's what makes the most sense here. So I could be completely wrong. Nothing new for me. Moving past even more Chisha dialogue, Yang Yang doesn't miss a beat and begins to worry about you, asking Baija if they could take Rover to the Academy's medical department to run a full diagnostic checkup on you. Because if we're all being honest, consuming an echo with a human body is weird. However, Yang Yang hits you with that textbook knowledge that there was some sort of information that this has happened before. More specifically, a divine entity coming down in human form, wielding the power of the universe. That's the equivalent comparison that is being made with you as of right now to a degree. You are being compared to a divine entity. Aren't you a little special cupcake? The little tidbit given doesn't hold too much significance to the current conversation that you're having with them. However, it is a key piece of world building for the game, giving you a look at some of the major history of not only Huanglong, but the origin of the world. And funnily enough, Chisha is the one that is able to joke about how Rover could very well be that person mentioned in the history of their world. A history so old that some people consider it to be a legend, but Baija, being the pragmatist that she is, she doesn't want anyone to jump to conclusions until all the facts are in order. Reasonable, really. But with that, the etheric sea clears up and the signal returns to your terminals, aka gourds, which I seem to misspell every time that while writing the script. But besides the point, more build-up and character introductions. And with that, a holographic message from City Hall, where we get the first look at Madam Magistrate, Jinshi. I'm probably mispronouncing that name as well. Don't worry, you'll see how it's spelled in the video. So I can only screw it up so bad. Or I think it'll just do my best to summarize the message since it's pretty long and convoluted as well. The main idea is that she knows about Rover's existence, or more specifically, a person like Rover. She announces that they are a guest and to meet her at the City Hall, where she intends to meet them for the sake of their city and will offer them as many answers as she can give plus permissions, practically laying it on thick that she's important and you should probably meet her. Because plot. And with the holographic message now over, the three of them come together to collectively agree that the person Jinshi is looking for is you. Aren't you just lucky? Because you can ask questions here, especially questions that don't matter to the main plot, or agree with their conclusion, or tell them that it's too early to tell. How to respond is up to you, and you'll get varying responses depending on it. Responses that I am not going to go into. However, the plot will take you down the rabbit hole of it won't hurt to try. So you'll be expected to go to City Hall anyway. Whatever decisions you choose to make in response to their questions, Yang Yang and Chisha share the sentiment that they will have your back no matter what you decide to do, regardless if you're special or the chosen one. That makes no sense. Regardless if you're not special or the chosen one. That's how that should have been written. And bam. With that dialogue over, you're into the open world aspect again. And you've just finished Act 1, Part 1. And since I have no idea how long this video is going to take to be with the script, I'm going to only cover the prologue and Act 1, Part 1 today. And now looking over at the time, this is roughly 21 minutes of me rambling on. So I know parts of the story are going to vary in length, especially depending on the amount of information I need to cover for you guys. I'll figure this out as we go, because I want to hit the important part first, and that's I want to thank everyone that clicked on this video, and especially those that watched the whole thing to this point. Thank you so very much. Seriously, thank you. I appreciate you watching this more than I can fully express. And I hope that this is a video you enjoyed and you'd like to see more videos like this. And if you do want to see more videos like this of me recapping the story of Wuthering Waves or other gacha games, then tell me in the comments down below what kind of information you want me to cover and go into depth for you guys, and I'll do the research, I'll compile the videos, but I would like to really know what information you want me to cover, or if you want just an overarching story preview so you can skip through dialogues and everything so you can just play the game and feel less guilty about it, because I'll be there to give you the Spark Notes version of the story. Depending on what you want, it'll help give me better direction for these videos. If you're new to the channel or have come back and haven't subscribed, please make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can get more videos of this from me, and hit that notification button as well so you get notified whenever I upload. Please hit that subscribe button, notification button, like the video if you like the video. I'm just gonna wish you a great day, because you deserve a great day, and good luck on your pulls. With that, I hope I get to see you again in the next video. Take care, stay safe, and good luck.